All right, welcome to Pass the Mic. It is Friday, June 27th, 2025, episode 166. After a little quick week off, we are back. Mike Gervasi on Zoom.
Great to be here. Great to be here. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How about yourself? How was your first, what now, 2 weeks about a vacation, right? 2 weeks off?
It's man, everything is so just fluid right now. So I just sold the house officially. I mean,
Oh,
I'm not.
breaking
I'm
news.
still. Yeah. I mean, I'm still. I signed. We got a price and everything else. So we haven't officially closed yet, but we're
There's an
getting
offer.
there.
An offer has been accepted.
An offer's been
I'm not
accepted.
in
The
the
appraisal,
business.
everything is done. So we just got to set a move out date. But yeah, it looks like so that's been going on. We've had basketball camp at Carlson, and then summer league later on. And the one constant, Mike, is nobody likes referees still. So
And
just
my own son has told me that because he is
yeah.
working
Oh,
the
he's
girls'
learning.
camp.
Yeah. Is he? Yeah.
Yes. Well, and that's not really a camp thing. That's more of the summer league. I mean, camp,
Yes.
whatever. I mean, that's neither here nor there. And this is actually what, our third week off, right? Or no, second,
This
second,
is yeah, two
the
weeks
end of the
off.
second.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the end
God,
of the
it just
second.
seemed, well, here's the thing, and I'm not making excuses, Max. We're like, oh, you're off. You should have no problem doing an episode. In reality, your first week off of school, like you get all the stuff in that you need to get in.
Yeah.
So like the day, it's not like we sat around Monday through Friday and then Monday through Thursday, and all of a sudden you texted me Thursday, say, "Hey, we better do this episode," and we've been
Right.
sitting
Right.
around doing nothing.
Well,
Um,
The Ren Dog's trying to get me off the show and put Max on.
I don't understand why the Red Dog's not giving me heat. I
Yeah,
don't.
he went after
Uh,
me on this one.
but and again, I'm not making excuses, but like you get your doctor's appointments in. We had Nate's grad party that was a major.
Fun,
You had to
fun.
build up to it, and then you had to do stuff after it. Cleaning up and put stuff away. You're doing the lawns, the camps. I'm working the golf. We were just before we went on the air. We are talking about the golf course. Not making excuses, but it's not like we're lounging around drinking wine and eating grapes like on
No,
our
not at
couches.
all. No,
So,
it'd be nice
but
to do that, but yeah, we're
yes,
not.
but we are here. So feedback and errors. First of all, Tom Pack, we gave him a little leeway. First time ever that he sort of was a few days out on his photo
Yeah,
collage. He was on a little vacation himself. Again, no shade being thrown.
right.
Um, Max did give me some heat when I mentioned Tyrone Wheatley because he Robichaud being downriver.
Yeah,
That's the famous downriver and friends argument. Listen, I do you consider Dearborn downriver? I
I do
basically
not.
consider you don't. I
I
mean,
don't.
I don't get into the logistics of it. I don't really care that much.
If you did, I wouldn't blame any. Again, I don't care enough to really fight that one way or another, but some people do, you know.
Oh yeah, well, there's some people that say like if you're inland, you're not even downriver.
Right,
Woodhaven, for example, should not be considered downriver because it
right.
doesn't touch the river. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not a. I'm not a. Let's ask down. Maybe we can have Downriver Jeff on the show since he is the expert of all things downriver.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people agree with Shelley Looney, and then I remembered another one later. Johnny Schreiber um,
Oh man,
was a
how do we
big one.
forget him?
Family
Yeah.
through marriage.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you got?
Well, Gary Bailey a while ago, I don't think I mentioned this, did send something to both of us via email about the warning signs of AI. So I don't think we mentioned that.
Yeah.
So we'll start with him. After that, I have there's an argument between you and Max a little bit. The underrated Gary Bailey had a bunch for your consideration, so we'll just go through these. John Garvalia from Aquinas.
Okay. Ernie Price, coach.
Yeah. Lee Norwood, NHL. JJ Putz.
Lee Norwood, didn't he sort of look like that? Who's that guy that sang "Proud to Be an American"?
Uh,
Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood, yes, yes. Are you sure they looked alike, or are
I
you
don't know. Maybe I'm
just
just
the
putting it two
names?
and two together.
I think
Such a
so.
well-written song.
Yeah, he's got a "Proud to be a Canadian," and it's like a legit song. He actually made a song, "Proud to be a
Oh,
Canadian," and I'm telling YouTube listeners, I don't know what you think about Lee Greenwood. I myself am not a fan. I think you will get a chuckle. It's dead serious. He got paid to do
okay.
this, so he did. Everything is the same except it's "Proud to be a Canadian," and where there's geographical locations from the United States, he just replaced them with
Just
Canada.
switches the words in. It's real
Yeah.
tough.
It's kind of like a guy that will go on like a podcaster, I'm not saying any names, that will go on other forums to promote himself
And whatever,
shamelessly.
whichever route he can go.
Um, all right, anyway, sorry, we got off track there. Kevin
By the way,
Nash.
Gary Bailey, I want to say this. The
Yeah,
photo, we did post the photo of him and the Ren dog. And
yeah.
remember you laughed a little bit when Gary Bailey did say no problem posting the photo. And he did respect that I seeked his permission
You
before
asked
putting it
him,
on social.
yes. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Kevin Nash, pro wrestler. I'm not familiar with
Oh
him, but
yeah, Trenton area.
okay. Leon Daddy Wags from the MLB. I got no Daddy Wags. Maybe his last name was Wags or something. Archie Clark, NBA. Chester Taylor, NFL. He was a River Rouge guy. Nick Stanko in track, and Jason Klein in basketball. It's a very good one from
Well, Tom
Grozil.
Pack also the guy that played for the Lions, the running
Yeah,
back.
that was next. Eric Lynch.
Yeah,
He was Barry's. I don't remember. He was the third stringer. Derek Moore was the backup. Derek Moore got hurt, and Barry was already hurt. So Eric Lynch was thrust in that position. And actually, did pretty well.
yeah.
Mr. Tony coached him. Tony Brinson.
I ran into him the other day.
I heard.
The
Yeah. Oh,
Buffalo Wild
you're
Wings doing
yeah.
well.
It's
Yeah,
always great to see
Tony
him.
Penny. Yes.
And Ryan Butson, Carlson employee, his dad also coached
Yeah.
Eric
Fellow
Lynch.
school library employee.
Yes. It looks like I thought we had something else. It looks like that's it though. Oh, Tony, Mr. Tony, Mr. Tony, Mr. Tony, but this is Saavedra. My underrated shout out for Downrivers goes to my wife, Patricia.
Oh
She was
yeah,
part,
big one.
yeah, this is a really good one. Part of Our Lady of Mount Carmel girls high school basketball championship team that won the 86 state title. Then in 19, the team was inducted into the Wyandotte Sports Hall of Fame, and he sent us a nice picture of her.
Nice.
Mike Lavelle, how did you say his name? He was a base
Lavalier.
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 Thank you,
Well,
thank
he's
you,
already
thank
up
you.
on our wall. He's on the official wall. He's
He
not even
is.
on the
He is.
he's on the Spanky.
Max is gonna bash me for forgetting his name. He was the catcher when Barry Bonds threw the wiffle ball, right?
Yeah, Sid Bream. Yeah, he was
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he was mainly he was there like at the very end of his career.
Right. I think that's it now. Man, I feel like we're forgetting something
Well, it's
here.
been 2 weeks. It's
It
hard,
has
it's
Kent
so
Sikora is very upset with us about not coming on last week too. Dayton Aaron, Max really liked that one. I
oh that
ran
was
into Dayton. Dayton wasn't familiar with the fact that we had a podcast, seemed pleasantly surprised, and said he'll have to check it out. So
oh,
he
we might
was
be at 99 listeners.
or 38, something like that.
Yeah,
So
I don't know the
that's
data.
yes, that's what I got though.
All right, excellent. All right, well, it is your mic of the week. Oh, that was, we had the photo collage was great that Tom Pack got in there. You got the Mike Mathis picture in there as well as some other officials. But who is your mic of the week?
Okay, so I'm going to start with, and it's funny you say photo collage because I'm going to start with the an author by the name of Dale Maharaj, who writes. He's a journalist who has taught like journalist school in at Columbia, a couple other Ivy League schools, and but what he writes about is just the human condition, and he's done this since the 1980s, and it's pretty cool. It would be the equivalent of what we would call authentic learning, where the kids actually learn by doing and things like that. So he presents information, like for instance, in the 80s, saw the bottom fall out on a lot of people who were really poor, and I know there was, it's certainly not for some people the 80s were great economically, and for others not so well. So he went out and actually lived amongst the people who were the newly super poor, and wrote about it and has written since. And he is his co-author with him, or his I don't know what you would call him, is a guy, is my Mike. His name is Michael Williamson, and he takes photographs of where Dale Maharaj goes, and it makes the book, it's just amazing. They are so good. Dale Maharaj recently came out with a book. I actually have it, and he doesn't have Williamson. He thanks him at the end of the book, but for whatever reason, this one he didn't do it. But every other one of his books has had Michael Williamson's photographs riddled all over the book. I actually text Wally, Kyle Wallaveira, former guest on the show, about this author. I said, you got to check this guy out. So this is what he does, Wally. He's amazing. And Michael Williamson, the photographer. So funny you brought
All
up
right, there you
Tom
go.
Pack
That might be our
before.
first. That might be our first photographer
Yeah.
on the board. So, all right, excellent. So, education topic, and again, everything was planned for last week. And I saw something, and now I can't remember who the sports radio guy was. The guy that's his big shtick is he's very conservative. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Of
but
course
his
not.
his line was, "What is the equivalent in the adult world to the last day of school?" So that is what I decided to do for our education topic. We're totally stealing it. I'm giving my credit to where it's due. So, and I didn't even listen to any of the input or feedback. Like I didn't listen to it. I just saw the topic and I sent it to you. And I go, hey, this would be a pretty cool topic because we get to experience this however many years we work, and a lot of people don't, right? And there's really not an exact
No.
equivalent to it. But again, the question was, what is the closest thing to it? What do you have?
All right. Can I give two?
Sure, because I
Okay.
have two.
Okay. So I want to start with the day we get out before Thanksgiving, and now it's Wednesday. I want the listeners to now. Carlson did put in recently, through the hard work of our union representation. We have a couple days off in October now, And the reason why we did that, and by the way, we don't just get those days off. We have to make them up somewhere. So make that clear to the listener.
It's
We're
the
not
same. Yeah.
just
So we're salary. By the way, it's Clay Travis is who I was
okay.
thinking of. That's who.
All right. So anyway, so we have those days, but in general, that first part of the year is you don't really get much off, and it's the day after, we generally start the day after Labor Day, and there's really no days off until Thanksgiving. We get the half days, but we have parent teacher conferences, so those days can be longer and much more of a grind. So I want the listener to know that week is absolutely that day off, that Wednesday before Thanksgiving is a godsend. Because at that point you pretty much have 3 weeks before Christmas break as well. When you come back, it's enough to recharge your batteries for that moment and get you to Christmas. So that's my first one. Any thoughts on that? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, anything with a long stretch, I think that's a great example of what's going there. Do you want me to give me one? Or you want me to give one of
Yeah,
mine?
let's go
We'll
one
go
one. That's
back and
fine.
forth. Okay, I got two as well. So I'm going to do one that's, um, I want to put it as in adulthood, an unexpected day off. We get those too. We get our summers off, but we also get the snow days. And rarely, even more rare, but in adulthood, you can get that. The power's out at your place of work.
Hmm.
There's been a very bad storm, and this is down. COVID, it happened to everyone. Even like my wife used to always complain about like snow days. It's like I'll never get a snow day. Well, that little period there, that was almost like a summer break for most people, right? Because like everyone was sort of like sent home, other than first responders and that sort of thing for a couple of weeks. A lot of people, and
Yeah.
then the most places were very generous at first. I remember the policy where most places was you had to have paid time off, right? If you had
Yeah.
COVID.
Right.
So like any of those, and that's very rare. It's just very rare for people outside of our profession, but like, there's certain areas and fields or places where it works, where that happens. And it's that vibe of you're all prepared and ready to go into work. And then all of a sudden it's just sort of yanked out and said, nope, we don't need you.
Right. Okay. I like it. My other one is actually took place last night. And tonight, the NBA draft, when that day arrives, and part of it might be because the Pistons have been, top 10 pick up until this year, seemingly forever. I can't even remember last time they didn't prior to this year, but nonetheless, 2016 actually. But nonetheless, what it signifies to me, first off, my school year ends, and then the next week there's basketball going on. Usually the following week there's basketball going on. The NBA draft usually is a signal that okay, your summer is actually starting now, and you can kick back. First off, I love the NBA draft. It's funny because I noticed people online complaining about how long it took yesterday. For me, man, the longer the draft takes, the better. I enjoy it so much. And so, but it also is the precursor of summer break that's about to start in the summer. My summer actually beginning because I go with these basketball camps a little bit longer. So that's my other summer day off or summer last day of
Yeah.
school.
I'm also impressed with how quickly they do it right after the season's over.
Yeah,
Like
it was
it's not
3 days later. Yeah,
not like the NFL and these other places. It's like, hey, we're just going to get this all done
yeah,
and wrapped up.
right.
So, mine, and this one's pretty much, I think, what most people would say if you ask them this question, but it's not really your last day of work with retirement. But if you're retiring for the most part, and I hope this is the case for most people, that it's not you're terminated, that you're actually, it's not like you're sitting there and it's like 2 days out and you're like, oh, I'm retiring. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
normally, I think, for the most part, unless, when it's done right and well and you want it to be a good thing, you usually know this months ahead of time. Like we're in a unique situation where most people in our field are going to finish out a school year. So whereas like in regular retirement, you might wait till a certain year birthday of some sort,
Right,
right? So it
right,
could be
right.
any time during a calendar year. Whereas for us, a lot of people now that doesn't stop you. We've known people that go December. You can, if you have your service credit, if you want to go, you can come in and work 1 week in September and then go.
Yeah,
It's totally up to you. But I would have to say, that if especially if you have control over it and you know it, and then you can sort of see like and you can set up those months leading up to it are probably a great feeling. And if and I think we've talked about this too. Good employees, you're still going to work and everything,
you're
but
gonna work, right,
you may not be 212, and you may not worry about taking a Friday off here or there,
right,
and you're not going to be
right,
stressed about things, and
right.
it's probably the best months of your life in the field, right? Because
Yeah,
like it's like It's the end is there. So that's truly the one for everyone. And I just hope for everyone that they can go out on their, yes, go out on their
Go on
terms
your own terms, right?
is the best way to put it, right? Like that's what we'd hope for everybody.
It's funny you think about sports athletes that don't seem to get that same grace from people. Every other profession, people would say, yeah, go out on your own terms. But for every reason in sports, we feel like they should go out on our terms, not
Well, it's funny.
theirs.
That's gonna you're again, man. We didn't even talk. You're
Ooh,
pre-cursing into my hot mic.
oh, interesting. Okay.
Very good. All right. All right. Overrated, underrated. And I want to preface this like we always do. Overrated does not mean bad.
Right.
All right. So it's graduation party season. It's wedding season. Your wedding's coming up. The summer's wedding. So I thought what a great idea. And I do review a lot of things on TikTok. I don't review party food, like wedding food and that sort of thing, or grad party food. But we are going to do overrated, underrated, like banquet food. Like you're
hmm
at somewhere, it's a party, it's provided. Overrated does not mean bad. It just means overrated. What do you got as your overrated?
Okay, so I've been to quite a few lately, and one of the themes that most, but not all, is potatoes. And I love, first off, let me preface by saying I love potatoes. I'm a big baked
Yep.
potato fan. But I feel like at these type of events, they're so loaded in butter and salt
So
that
mashed potatoes,
no, any
all
sort of potatoes,
potatoes. Okay.
period. Yes. I just feel like they are like
Yeah.
it takes away from what you're eating. Again, I'm a potato fan and I understand a little bit on each. I've been called a
That's,
fun
it doesn't
sucker
mean
when
they're
it comes to
bad.
food. Doesn't mean they're bad, but to me, the parties seem to load them up too much with butter and salt. So I'm going overrated potatoes.
All right. I'm going to go. I have two things. And just to prove that overrated doesn't equal bad, I've served both of these things in the past two events I put on. All right. So I'm criticizing myself. Number one is chicken, like fried chicken. It's good. But
Yeah.
here's my thing. Other than I'm to the point now, and here's I did, it's hard to eat. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's just
hmm
a hard like I hate cut you got plasticware, so you're trying to cut a breast, right? Like or do you eat a breast with your hands? It's not, you know what I mean? It's not that it doesn't taste good. I just think it's difficult. The leg drumstick, you can eat that. Like I'm now
Right.
to the point in my life where there's only two types of things with chicken I want. I want wings, whether they be flats or drumettes, I don't care. Wings. And now, it used to be that I used to look at tenders as being childish. Good tenders now, I'm a fan of. I don't, you can judge me, but because it's easier to eat, it's still like the breast, but it's like I'm not dealing with the bone. I'm not cutting
Right.
into it.
Right. I agree.
So chicken, again, I had it at Nate's party, was delicious. It was good. There were
It was
tenders though from Kroger
delicious.
too, so it was very good. The other one, the taco bars, and again, I did it for our end of the year work party, and I get why they're done. They're build your own. It's simple, but I feel as if, especially if it's like our thing's a quick event, I feel like if it's a long event, some of the stuff as it stays out sort of degrades a little bit. No offense to anyone that does those things.
I gotta tell. Listen, I went to Kent Sakura, Drew Sakura's grad party. Kent's a
Yeah,
regular listener, and I gotta tell you,
I was working.
Taco Bar, it was outstanding. So that's why he
Well, I'm
might
not saying they're
have.
bad. I'm not
No,
saying
I
they're
know, I know, I know,
bad,
I
and
know.
I understand why people do it. I went to Brandon Frisch's and was delicious. It was a local Mexican restaurant,
Yeah.
but overrated. I'm just saying it's that.
Okay.
Hey, I had chicken at mine. I said overrated. You had
Yeah,
potatoes
I
at mine,
understand.
so I guess
Okay.
underrated. Let's see what we should be putting on the.
Okay. So this is gonna upset Mrs. Peyote, and by Mrs. Peyote, I mean your mother.
Okay.
But it's funny because she's like, you don't like those things, do you?" I'm like, not only I like them, I love them. It was your son's grad party, Nate's grad party, cake pops. I love cake
Oh
pops,
yeah.
and I think that's such a good. And they're not at too many grad parties. I think
You
they're
don't have
so
to cut
good.
anything.
No, yeah, they are just there for you. There's just something about them. You're not, you don't have to cut. They're small in size, so you don't feel like you're really cheating too much if you're worried about your cholesterol numbers and stuff like that. And to me, they are just so good. So that's my
That's a
underrated.
good one. And we had some left, man. So
Did you?
I snacked on a couple of those. And here's the funny thing: we talked about um, getting stuff done. The first Monday after Nate's party was my checkup, my 6 month checkup, and I had a lot of adult beverages. Not at his party. I didn't drink at all at his party, but like the night our end of the year thing was on Thursday. Had a couple of beverages of
Oh
that.
yeah.
A couple on Friday. Um, you know, ate a lot. I don't usually do sweets a lot. Had a ton of sweets at Nate's party, cake pops and whatever. And I even told Elisa when I went to go to the physical, I'm like, I'm not fasting. I'm not having my blood drawn today because I might be diabetic, like on this test. It was like, it was almost like a intervention from above. I pull up, get to the doctor's office, it's taped on the doors to the doctor's office. The lab is closed today and tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So I went in there and the nurse did all my vitals and she's like, "Oh, your numbers are good." And she's like, "We're gonna have to do a blood draw." And I go, "I see the lab's closed." And she's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, to be honest with you, I have not been very good the last 3 days." And I go, "If you draw my blood right now, you guys might lock me up." And she's like, "Oh, that's no big deal." So as a matter of fact, there it is. I got the paperwork right here. Still haven't gone because that Pittsburgh trip, I ate and drank too much there. So maybe eventually in July I'll go. The guy said no rush.
Yeah.
Underrated. Here's my underrated. I think a pasta bar, like an assortment of
Oh, okay.
pastas. I think it holds up well for the most part because you got sauces and whatever. And it's the same sort of thing as a taco bar that you can get like, okay, you want to throw a marinara sauce on there, a meat sauce, different types of meats, and that sort of thing. We just did straight pasta from Arnaldo's at ours. But I mean, the idea of like a create your own, I sort of like that idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
I
I like the cake pops. It's a good one. I didn't even think dessert.
yeah. I'm surprised you seem to be a dessert fan.
No, it's other way. I'm a food fan. All right. Hot mic take. What do you have this week?
So I'm gonna get serious. I as you may or may not be aware, we apparently obliterated the Iran's nuclear program this past
Um,
weekend.
Depending on the sources,
But yeah, by obliterated,
Fox reporter got blasted today by Pete Hegseth. Not very happy.
yeah. So what has become interesting to me, and I'm gonna, I'm sure the listener can kind of gauge where our politics are, but I think on this one I could attack both sides. Um, so I'm gonna start by saying to people who are not for the attack, I don't think we want Iran having a nuclear weapon.
I
That's
think everybody could agree to that.
everybody's gonna agree on that. You could create an arms race in the Middle East that we don't want. I am also of the belief that it's kind of interesting that certain countries who have them seem to be very forthcoming in telling others that they should not. But when you dangle carrots and things like that, that part I understand how it works. But we again to folks on the left who are attacking this attack, again we do not want Iran having a nuclear weapon. To folks on the right, this is all the comparisons I'm seeing to ranging from the fact that this is we could annihilate them. Yes, we would win. We would win in a war certainly, but you and I are old enough and young enough to remember very well what happened 20 years ago in a different country in the Middle East that's right next door. That this one would probably be worse. And the Iranian folks, it's a very complicated country. For example, the night of 9/11, they came out in the streets, the people did, and had candlelight vigils in honor of the victims. Now, again, I'm not trying to paint a completely rosy picture here. They still chant death to America and stuff like that. But this is a super, super complicated place. And so I am not trying to be Tucker Carlson to people right now. And I don't know if you saw the interview with Ted Cruz, where he just asked him basic questions that you would think a person that's making these major decisions should know. I'm not trying to do that, but this is a much more nuanced situation that I think than both sides are really giving credence to. So again, it's like we always talk about find this information out yourself as best you can. There's not a ton of it out there that you just can Google search that's worthwhile information, but there's plenty of people that write on this stuff that are legit writers that understand the situation. Not saying I completely understand it as well, but the bumper sticker slogans, the one or two word, that also doesn't do anybody any
Hey,
good.
get with
And
the
this is
times. It's memes now. Like no one. It's
that's
not
true.
fun.
My apologies. You're right. So
Because that's what I was
that's
gonna
my
say.
yeah.
Sharing a meme either way isn't, or like a picture with some data that you have.
Right.
And here's my thing. Like I said, on one side, like let's pump the brake. I mean, Obama, every president has done bombing runs that did not get congressional approval, right?
Sure.
There's a difference between
Sure.
troops on the ground. So like the Democrats and people even on the right that are complaining that, now should like the top four in Congress be informed of this stuff? Yeah. Like,
100%.
I
You're
mean,
right.
but I mean, not everything needs to be voted on. At the same point, I don't think, except in President Trump should be calling out people's patriotism when
Right.
they're just inquiring about what were the results, or like a
Right.
question about and that's insulting to me. That like if a reporter says, well, there's reports coming out that stuff wasn't destroyed, and if it wasn't destroyed, that's fine. I mean, if it wasn't completely destroyed, okay,
Right.
servicemen lost their lives. I'm not going to be upset, but like don't question someone's
Right.
patriotism
Right.
that like they or like saying, oh, Democrats didn't want it to be destroyed. Like, no, if we're going to spend that money, I hope it worked. Like I don't like that. Like I don't care who's in charge. Like
Right.
I want a refund on my taxes if these bunker busters like were duds, like firework
Yeah.
duds. And and the amazing thing to me is flying from Missouri 2 different routes halfway across the world. Like, the little stuff you hear, but like but we'll never hear that because most people want their side to be right, and
Yeah.
they can't just look at like, or like me, like I don't know, I'm not a expert in the region. I don't know what's going on. I just don't want to see I don't want any young servicemen or women to lose their lives. I know that.
It's a very complicated place. Iran is, ethnically they're not Arabs. And I think a lot of times Americans kind of conflate,
Oh yes,
so it's a very complicated place, and this is a complicated situation. So yeah,
yep.
okay.
All right, mine's sort of a serious one too. Not as worldly serious, but it's in the news very recently, and it's something we talked about, and you sort of hinted about it with fans. So did you hear the story about out of Chicago about the Arizona Diamondbacks player Ketel Marte? Did
No,
you hear about this? Oh, you
mm-mm,
didn't. So I'm breaking news
no,
to you. So he plays for the Diamondbacks. His mom just passed away very
I did hear
recently.
about this. I know
Okay,
it.
so
Yeah,
you didn't put a name with the okay.
yeah,
So this fan
hmm
heckling, because I guess
yeah,
a fan thinks they can do anything,
right,
heckled him about his late mother
hmm
passing away, and the guy got emotional during the game, and the
sure,
manager lost his mind. And
hmm
in this day and age, and we talk about sometimes the negatives of cell phones or the negatives, but people in the crowd had this guy recording him because he was
hmm
such an idiot. Something I also learned too. I mean, I watched this show, and I don't know if it's on God, one of the network Discovery, or it's called Stadium Lockup, and it's the Cleveland Browns, and they have footage. Let me just tell you this: if you go to a stadium in this day and age, you think you can like throw something or
hmm
do and not get caught, you
right,
can't.
right,
It's amazing. Like, not that I'm ever going to these stadiums acting like a fool, but I think back to like 30 years. We talked about the Silverdome many a times, where it
hmm
was basically you were like, who's was fighting up here? And you're like
yeah,
looking. They have these cameras now, and they go back, and it's real time, and they have people watching them during the game. Even like a NFL game, they could find the individual person that threw like a beer bottle in
sure,
Municipal Stadium or Cleveland Stadium and grab them and yank them out of there. But then you got people in the crowd, right? Like everyone has so this guy's Major League Baseball went out, banned him for life from every Major League Baseball stadium. I mean, that's not a terrible penalty if you ask me.
right.
Just kidding, Max and Ken. Uh, uh, banned him from life from every Major League Baseball stadium. The Chicago fans the next day like showed up with signs, being supportive of this guy. And I'm for one, and we've said this before, pro sport fans need to be able to handle some heckling. Like you're getting paid a ton of money.
Sure.
So in relation to your
Yeah, exactly. That's where the
performance
line is.
on the field. And again, and I think it's still something too of like, even like your performance, like me, I'm like, what business do I shared a meme a while back of like this big overweight guy like eating popcorn on his couch, and it's like, I can't believe that guy missed that field free throw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like who am I to tell, any Pittsburgh Pirate they suck when this guy could probably outduel me in any sport. You know what I mean?
hmm
But the Red Dog shared a highlight from last week, like O'Neal Cruz, their center fielder, short hopped a pop up and it rolled past, and he just stood there. Now, if you want to yell and boo about a
Oh
guy that's
yeah,
doing
for
that,
sure.
that's fine. And again, you're pros, you get paid. But stuff like this, or bothering and heckling people on their own personal time when they're out and about,
Yeah.
it just goes back to, and I guess it's a good balance because fans are being worse about things, but I think the technology and the people around them are also, they're getting caught more often,
Right.
right? Like I think like, yes, fans are worse, but I also think that like you can't get away with as much anymore. And Major League Baseball is going to do this. The NBA is going to do that. We've seen this before. Any of these sports teams, no matter what you have, they can revoke your
Sure.
contract or deal or whatever and boot you. I mean, the Lions are doing it if people sell too many tickets. So you know what? And especially at the college level, you shouldn't be heckling anybody because they're
No.
damn kids. But at the pro level, like keep it to what's going on the field, and maybe even specifically in that day. Like, I mean, these guys are still professional, and as long as they're not, I don't know. It's just it's baffling to me. And this poor guy. I mean, I mean, it's amazing. It's hard enough when you lose a parent, and then you have idiots like this in the stadium taunting you about it.
Right.
But thankfully, the people of Chicago, turn things around to do that thing better. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good postscript to the story too.
Yeah, yeah. So it is, and again, that's what I saw most recently is that the fans, you know, came out and supported them. So that's a
Yeah.
good thing. So, all right. So that's it. We are here. We are into the heat of summer now. Our next episode will be in July. I think the Friday is the 4th.
It is. It is.
It is. I'm
Wow.
working. I think I'm working the golf course.
Oh man.
A true patriot. So well, hey, and we're getting closer to the wedding date too. Holy cow, July. We're not making excuses already. We're gonna get episodes out. Are you still gonna
Yeah.
have Wi-Fi and a place to record and stuff? I mean, you're not gonna be recording
Uh,
like from your classroom with a sleeping bag, are you?
no, I'll find a
Okay,
place. No worries. This
okay.
is yeah.
I mean, I got a spare bed. I got a spare bedroom here, right
Yeah,
here off the studio. So
we'll come over and hang out with Ella. We'll all do it together, the three of
yeah, yeah.
us.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, we are back. Everybody have a great week. Stay cool, and we will see you next week.